네, 안녕하십니까. 영어 쉐도잉 연습 131차 시작해 보도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 아놀드 슈왈제네거 영상부터 한번 따라해 보겠습니다. 이 영상은 자막 보지 않고 따라해 보겠습니다. I'm here to talk about success. Work your ass off. I hate Plan B. Don't listen to the naysayers. Everything I ever did. The thing that I heard out of people's mouths. The thing that I heard out of people's mouths was no, can't be done. Or no.
I didn't listen to those losers.
I didn't listen to those losers.
I didn't listen to them at all.
I didn't listen to them at
I
all.
would have listened to the naysayers.
If I would have listened to the naysayers, from bodybuilding to short business to politics,
I would not be standing
I would not be standing here today talking to you.
I would be in
I'll be in
Austria,
Austria in the
yodeling.
office yodeling.
So when someone says
When
no,
someone says no,
this
this is a stupid idea. You in your mind, but you in your mind you don't have to say it, but your mind
say this, fuck you.
say
You're
this.
an
Fuck
asshole.
you, asshole.
What do
You're an
you
asshole.
know?
What do you know?
With the age of 20,
With the age of 20, I went to London and won the Mr. Universe contest
as the youngest
as the youngest Mr. Universe ever.
And it was because you, with the age of 20, I went to London and I won
With the age of 20, I went to London
the Mr. Universe contest as the
and won the Mr. Universe contest
youngest Mr.
as the
Universe ever.
youngest Mr. Universe
And it was
ever.
because
And it was
I had a
because
goal.
I had a goal.
You see, if you don't
You
have a vision of where
You see, if you don't have a vision of where you're going,
you go, and if you don't have a goal where you go,
if you don't have a goal of where you go,
you drift
you
around,
drift around and never end up anywhere.
You got to have a purpose no matter what you do in life.
You got to have a purpose no matter what you do in life.
You got to have
You
a
have a-
purpose.
you-
have a vision.
You got to have a purpose. You have a vision.
Work,
Work
your
your
ass off.
ass off.
There is no magic
There
pill.
is no magic pill.
Muhammad Ali
Muhammad Ali
worked his butt off.
worked his butt off,
And I saw it firsthand.
and I saw it
I
firsthand.
remember that there was a
And I remember
sports
that
writer
there was a
that
sports
was there
writer
in the gym.
that
He was
was in the
working out,
gym.
He was doing
He was
sit-ups.
working out. He was
And I
doing
asked him,
sit-ups.
how many sit-ups do you do?
And I asked him, how many sit-ups do you do?
And he said,
And he said,
I don't start
counting
until it
until
hurts.
it hurts.
Now
Now think about
He
that.
doesn't start counting
He doesn't start counting his sit-ups
until he feels pain.
until he feels pain.
That's when he starts
That's
counting.
when he starts
That
counting.
is working hard.
That is working hard.
I went to college.
I went to college.
I went
Worked out 5 hours a day,
and I was working
and-
on construction.
and I was working in construction.
Because in those days
Because in
in
those
bodybuilding,
days in
there was no money.
there was
I
no
didn't
money.
have the money for food
Didn't
supplements.
have the money for food supplements or
So I had to go to
anything.
work.
So I had to go to
So I
work.
worked in construction.
Worked in
I went to
construction.
college.
I went to
in
college.
the
I
gym
worked out in
and
the
at
gym
night
at
from
8
8
night from
o'clock at night to 12 midnight. I went to act-
at night from 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night to 12 midnight. I went to acting
4
class
times a week.
4
Yes,
times
I
a week.
did all
Yes, I
that.
did all that.
There was not one
There wasn't one single
that I
minute
wasted.
that I wasted.
And this is why I'm
This
standing
is why I
here
am
today.
standing here today.
And it drives me crazy when
And it
people
drives
say
me
they
crazy
don't
when
have
people
enough
say
time
they don't have enough
to go
time
to the gym
to go to the gym
for
for
45 minutes
45
a day and work
minutes a
out.
day and work out.
Or to do something
Or
for
to do
45
something
minutes
for
to an hour
45
a day
minutes
to
or an
improve.
hour a day
If it is
to
physically
improve.
improved,
If it is
or
physically improved or mentally, if it is or if it is
imagine
mentally
you read
improved.
1 hour a day
Imagine you read 1 hour a day
about history.
about history.
How much you
How
will
much you will
learn
learn
after
after
365
365 hours
in 1 year.
in 1 year.
With 24
With
hours a
24
day,
hours a day.
we sleep
You
6 hours
sleep
a day.
6 hours a day,
So it gives you still
so it
18
gives you
hours.
still 8 hours. 18 hours.
Someone shaking their head out here in front.
There's someone shaking head out here in front of say probably.
I don't sleep
I
6
don't
hours,
sleep 6 hours.
right?
I sleep 8 hours, right?
Or just sleep faster.
We're just sleep
But you can
faster.
see how much time there is
Because you
available.
can see how much.
If you organize your
Because you can see how much the time there's available.
day,
If you organize your day,
so you got to
so
work
you
hard.
got to work hard.
You get it?
You
Work
get
like hell.
work like
Go to
hell.
bed
Go to bed
early to
early.
rise.
All your
Work like
life.
hell and
Work like
advertise.
hell
So you
at
work
a
your
So
ass
you
off,
work your ass
and
off,
then you
and then
let
let
the
the
world
world
know about your work.
know about your work.
That's what it is all
That's
about.
what it's all about.
Let people know if you have a company,
If you have a movie,
if you do
if you do
a sports,
sports,
work
work
your
your
ass
ass
off,
off,
but
and
then
then
advertise and let everyone know.
advertise and let everyone know.
We
You have so many of those people that say, no, you can't do it, that's impossible. That is okay because we just turn off. When you start doubting yourself, that's very dangerous. Because now what you're basically saying is that if my plan doesn't work, I have a fallback plan. I have a plan B. That means you start thinking about plan B, and every thought that you put into plan B, you're taking away now that thought and the energy from plan A. It's very important to understand that we function better if there is no safety net. Because plan B becomes safety net, and it says if I fail, then I fall, and I get picked up, and and I have and I have something else there that will protect me. That's not good. I'm telling you, I've never ever had a plan B. I said I made a full commitment that I'm gonna go and be a bodybuilding champion. I made a full commitment that I'm gonna be in America. I made a full commitment that I'm gonna get into show business. I'm going to be a leading man. No matter what it takes, I will do the work. I will do the work over and over and over until I get it. To me, it is very dangerous to have a plan B because you're cutting yourself off from chances of really succeeding. Because the reason
from the chance of really succeeding.
and the reason one of the main reasons why people want to have a plan B is because they're worried about failing.
What is if I fail?
What is if I fail then I don't have anything else?
Well, let me tell you something. Don't be
Well,
afraid of failing.
well, let me tell you something. Don't be afraid of failing
Because there's nothing
because
wrong with failing.
there is nothing wrong with failing.
You have to fail in order to
in order to climb the ladder. There is no one who doesn't fail. We all fail.
It's okay.
It's okay. What is not okay is
That
when you fail and you stay down. Whoever stays down is a loser. And winners will fail and get up. Fail and get up. Fail and get up. You always get up. That is a winner. That is a winner. I failed the bodybuilding. I lost the bodybuilding competitions. I lost the powerlifting competitions. I lost the weightlifting competitions. I had movies that were told they were terrible. They got the worst reviews. Hey, we all lose. We all have losses. This is okay. This is why I say don't be worried about losing because when you're afraid of losing, you get frozen. You get stiff. You're not relaxed. In order to be perform well in anything, if it is a boxing or if it is your job with your thinking, it's only happening when you're relaxed. So relax. It's okay to fail. Let's just go all out and give it everything you've got. That's what it's all about. So don't be afraid of fail. 네, 잘 들었습니다. 그래도 계속 여전히 조금씩 잘 안 되는 부분이 있네요. 한번 내일은 그 부분을 좀 잡아서 연습을 해봐야 될 것 같습니다. 네, 그러면 다음 영상 넘어가도록 해보겠습니다. 다음 영상은 오바마 영상 해볼까요? 오바마 영상.
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write essays that inspire, messages,
But at the end of the day,
But at the end of the day, the
circumstances
circumstances of your life, what you look like, where you come from, how much money you have, what you are going on and on, none of that is an excuse. There is no excuse for not trying. I've given a lot of speeches about education. I've talked about responsibility a lot. I've talked about teachers' responsibility for inspiring students and pushing your life. I've talked about your parents' responsibility for making sure you stay on track and you get your homework done. And don't spend every waking hour in front of the TV or with Xbox. I've talked a lot about your government's responsibility for setting high standards and supporting teachers and principals and telling around schools that are working, or where students are getting the opportunities that they deserve. But at the end of the day,
most dedicated students aren't supporting teachers and principals and turning around schools that aren't working, where students aren't getting the opportunities that they deserve. But
where
turning around schools that aren't working, where students aren't getting the opportunities that they deserve.
where students are getting the opportunities where students aren't getting the opportunities that they deserve, where students are getting the opportunities that they deserve, where students are getting the opportunities they deserve.
But at the end, around schools that aren't working, where students aren't getting the opportunities that they deserve.
Where students are getting the opportunities they deserve, or students are getting the opportunities they deserve.
But at the end of the day,
But at the end of the day, we can have the most dedicated teachers, the most supportive parents, the best schools in the world, and none of it will make a difference. None of it will matter unless all of you fulfill your responsibilities, unless you show up to those schools, unless you pay attention to those teachers, unless you listen to your parents and grandparents and others, and put in the hard work it takes to succeed. That's what I want to focus on today. The responsibility each of you has for your education. I want to start with the responsibility you have to yourself. To every single one of you has something you read. Every single one of you has something to offer. You have a responsibility to yourself to discover what that is. This is the opportunity an education can provide. Maybe you could be a great writer. Maybe you're even good enough. Maybe you're even good enough to write a book. Maybe you're even good enough to write a book or articles in newspaper. You might not, but you might not know it. Maybe you could be an innovator or inventor. Maybe even good enough to come up with the next iPhone or the new medicine or vaccine. But when you might not know it until you do a project for your science class. Maybe you could be a mayor, or senator, or a Supreme Court justice. Maybe you might not know that until you join student government or the debating.
Not know that until you join student government
Join student government
or the debate team.
or the debating.
No matter what you want to do with your life,
I guarantee that you need an education to do it. You want to be a doctor or a teacher or a police officer, you want to be a nurse or actor, a lawyer or a member of a military, you're gonna need a good education for every single one of those careers. You cannot drop out of school and just drop into a good job. You got to train for it and work for it and learn for it. And this isn't just important for your own life and your own future. When you make up your education, we decide nothing less than the future of this country. The future of America depends on you. When you are learning in school today will determine whether we, as a nation, can meet our greatest challenges in the future. You'll need the knowledge and problem-solving skills. You'll learn science and math to cure diseases like cancers and AIDS, and to develop new energy technologies and protect our environment. You'll need insights and critical thinking skills to gain history and social studies, to fight poverty and homelessness, crime and discrimination, and make our nation more fair and more free. You'll need the creativity and ingenuity you develop in all your classes to build new companies that will create new jobs and boost our economy. You'll need every single one of you to develop your talents and your skills and your intellect so you can help us other folks solve our most difficult problems. If you don't do that,
quit on
if you
school,
quit on school,
you're not just quitting
you're
on
not just
yourself,
quitting on yourself.
you're quitting on your country.
You're quitting
I
on
know
your
it's not always
country.
easy to do well
I
in
know
school.
it's not always
I know
easy
a
to
lot
do
of
well
you
in
have
school.
challenges
I know a
in your
lot of you
lives
have
right now
challenges in your
that can
life
make it hard
right
to
now.
focus on your
They
schoolwork.
can make it
I
hard
get
to
it. I
focus
know
on.
what it's like. As right now, they can make it hard to focus on your schoolwork.
They can make it hard to focus on your schoolwork.
I know a lot of you have challenges in your lives right now that can make it hard to focus on your schoolwork.
They can make it hard to focus on your schoolwork. Your schoolwork. They can make it hard to focus on your schoolwork.
I get it.
I get
know
it.
what it's like.
I know what it's like.
My father left my family when I was 2 years old.
family when I was 2 years old.
Was raised by a
And
single
I
mom
was
who had
raised
to
by a
work,
single mom who had to work,
struggled at times to
and
pay
who
the
struggled
bills,
at times
wasn't
to
always able to give us
stro-
by a single mom who had to work and who struggled at times to pay the
who had to work and who struggled at times to pay the bills,
bills and wasn't always able to
bills
give us
and wasn't always able to give us
things that other
the
kids
things
had.
that other kids
There were
had.
times
There were times when I missed having a father in my life. There were times when I was lonely and I felt like I didn't fit.
Always as focused as I should have
So
been
I wasn't always as focused as I should have
on school.
been on school.
And I did some things that I'm not proud of.
And I did something I'm not proud of. And I got in more trouble than I should. And my life could have easily taken a turn for the worse. But I was lucky.
I got a lot of second chances.
And I had the opportunity to go to college and law school and follow my dream. My wife, our first lady, Michelle Obama, she has a similar story. Neither of her parents had gone to college, and they didn't have a lot of money, but they worked hard and she worked hard, so that she could go to the
Didn't have a lot of money, but they worked hard and she worked hard so that she could go to the best schools
so that she could go to the best schools
in this country.
in this country. Some of you might not have. Some of you might not have those advantages. Maybe you don't have adults in your life who give you the support who give you the support that you need. Maybe someone in your family has lost their job and there's not enough money to go around. Maybe you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe.
Maybe you live in a neighborhood
Maybe you live in a neighborhood. Maybe you live in a neighborhood
where you don't feel safe.
where you live, where you
Lost their job and there's not enough money to go around.
maybe you live in a neighborhood
where you don't feel safe.
where you don't feel safe, where you don't
Lost
feel
their
safe,
job and there's not enough money to go around. Maybe
Maybe
you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe.
where you don't feel safe, where you don't feel safe. Maybe you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe,
Or have friends
or have
who
friends who are pressuring you to do things, who are pressuring you to do things.
you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe. Or have friends who are pressuring you to do things
Who are pressuring you to do who are pressuring you to do things, who are pressuring you to do things
you know aren't right.
you know
don't feel
are
safe.
right,
Or have friends who are pressuring you to do things
who are pressuring you to do things, or have
you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe. Or have friends who are pressuring you to do things you know aren't right.
you know are right, you know are right, you know are right. Or have friends who are pressuring you to do things you know are right.
But at the end of the day,
But at the end of the day, the circumstances of your life, what you look like, where you come from, how much money you have, what you've got going on your own, none of that is an excuse for neglecting your homework or having a bad attitude,
that's no excuse.
for having a
That is an excuse for neglecting your homework or having a bad attitude in school.
or having a bad attitude in school. For neglecting your homework or having a bad attitude in school.
That's
No excuse for talking back to your teacher or cutting class or dropping out of school. There is no excuse for not trying.
Right now doesn't have to determine
Where you are right now doesn't have to determine
where you'll end.
where you end up. Where you are right now doesn't have to determine where you are end up. Where you are right now doesn't have to determine where you are end up.
No one's written your destiny for you.
No one's written your destiny for you.
Because here in America,
Because
you
here
write
in
your own
America,
destiny.
you write your
You make
own
your
destiny.
own
You
future.
make your
That's
own
what
future.
young people
That's
like
what
you are doing
that's
every
what
day
young people like you are doing every day, all across America. Young people like Jasmine Perez from Loma, Texas. Jasmine didn't speak English when she first started.
But she worked hard to speak English when she first started
Jasmine didn't speak English when she first started school.
school.
Neither of her parents had gone to college, but she worked hard, earned good
got a
grades,
scholarship to Brown University,
and got a scholarship to Brown University.
is now in graduate
Is
school
now
studying
in
public
graduate
health
school,
on her
studying public health,
way
on her
to
way to becoming Dr. Jasmine Perez. I'm thinking about Andoni Schultz from Los Altos, California, who's fought brain cancer since he was 3. He's had endured all sorts of treatments and surgeries. One of these affected his memory, so it took him much longer, hundreds of extra hours to do his school. But he never fell behind. He's headed to college this fall. And there's Shantae and Steve. And then there's
fell behind. He's headed to college this fall. Then there's Chantel Steve
and then there's Chantel Steve
from my
hometown of Chicago, Illinois. Even when bouncing from foster home to foster home in the toughest neighborhoods in the city, she managed to get a job at a local health care center, started a program to keep young people out of gangs, and she's on track to graduate high school with honors and go on to college. And Jasmine and Donnie
track to graduate high school, start a program to keep young people out of gangs, and she's on track to graduate high school with honors
and she's on track to graduate high school with honors. She's on track to graduate high school with honors. On track. She's on track. She's on track to graduate high school with honors and go on to college. And Jasmine and Donnie and Chantel aren't any different from any of them. They face challenges
in their lives just like you do.
They face challenges in their lives just like you do.
In some
In some cases, they got it a lot worse off than many of them. But they refused to give up. They chose to take responsibility for their lives, for their education, and set goals for themselves. And I expect all of you to do the same. That's why today I'm calling on each of you to set your own goals through your education, and do everything
But whatever you resolve, own goals for your education.
and do everything you can to meet it. But whatever you resolve to do, I want you to commit to it. I want you to really work it. I know that sometimes you get the sense from TV that you can be rich and successful without hard work. That your ticket to success is walking or basketball or being a reality TV star. Chances are you're not gonna be any of those things. The truth is, being successful is hard. You won't love every subject, then you start. You won't click with every teacher, then you hate. Not every homework assignment will seem completely relevant to your life right at this minute. And you won't necessarily succeed at everything the first time you try. That's okay. Some of the most successful people in the world are the ones who had the most failures. J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter. Her first Harry Potter book was rejected 12 times before it was finally published. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He lost hundreds of games and missed thousands of shots during his career, but he once said, I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeeded. These people succeed because they understood that you can't let your failures define you. You have to let your failures teach you. You have to let them show you what to do different the next time. So if you get into trouble, that doesn't mean you're a troublemaker. It means you need to try harder, to act right. If you get a bad grade, that means you are stupid. It just means you need to spend more time studying. No one's from being good at all things. You become good at things through hard work. You're not a varsity athlete the first time you play a sport. You don't hit every note the first time you sing a song. You got to practice. The same principle.
You're not a varsity athlete the first time you play a new sport.
You are not a you are not a varsity athlete. Varsity athlete. You're not a varsity athlete. The first time you play a new sport, you are not a varsity athlete. The first time you play a new sport, you are not a Firstly, athlete, the first time you play a new sport,
You don't hit every note the first time you sing a song.
you don't hit every note. The first time you sing a song, you don't hit every note. You don't hit every note. The first time you sing a song, you don't hit every note. The first time you sing a song,
You've got to
you
practice.
got to practice. The same principle applies to your school. You might you might have to do a math problem a few times before you get it right. You might have to do a math problem. You might have to do a math problem a few times before you get it right. Before you get it right. You might have to do a math problem a few times before you get it right.
You might have to read something a few times before you
You might have to read something a few times
understand it.
before you understand it. You might have to read. You might have to.
Times before you get it right. You might have to read something a
You
few
might have to read something a few times before you understand it. You might have to read something a few times. You might have to read something. You might have to read something a few times before you understand it. You definitely have to do a few drafts of a paper before it's good enough to hand in. Don't be afraid to ask for questions. Don't be afraid to ask for questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
to ask for help when you need it.
Ask
I do
for
that
help
every
when you
day.
need it. I do
Asking
that
for help
every
is a
day.
sign of weakness.
Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness.
It's a sign of strength.
It's a sign of strength because it shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something, and that then allows you learn.
Courage to admit when you don't know something, and that is a sign of strength because it shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something.
Because it shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something, because it shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something, because it shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something,
And that then
and
allows you
that
to
then
learn
allows
something new.
you and that then allows you to learn something new.
You have the courage to admit when you don't know something, and that then allows you to learn something new.
Allows you to learn something new, and that then allows you to learn something new, and that then allows you to learn something new.
So find an adult that you trust.
So find an adult that you trust. So find an adult that you trust. A parent, a grandparent, or teacher, or a coach, or a counselor,
And ask them to help you stay
on track to meet your goals. And even when you're struggling, even when you're discouraged, and you feel like other people have given up on you, don't ever give up on yourself. Because when you give up on yourself, you're giving up on your country. The story of America isn't about people who quit when
It's about people who kept going. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough.
The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. Things got tough. The story of America is about people who quit. The things get tough. The things get tough.
Oh, you give up on your country. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. It's
People who
about
quit. People who quit when things got tough. Who quit? Quit when things got tough. Quit when things got tough. Quit when things got tough. Who quit? People who quit. The people who quit when things got tough. People who quit when. 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 People who quit when things got tough. People who quit when things got tough.
You give up on your country. The story of America
America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got people who quit when things got tough. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. It's about people who keep going, who tried harder, who loved their country too much to do anything less than their best. It's the story of students who sat where you sit 250 years ago, when went on to wage a revolution, went on to wage went on to wage a revolution,
Founded this nation.
and they founded this nation. Young people, the students who sat where you sit 75 years ago, who overcame a depression and won a world war, who fought for civil wars and put on the man on the moon. Students who sat where you sit 20 years ago, who founded Google and Twitter and Facebook, who changed the way we communicate with each other. So today, I want to ask all of you, what's your contribution gonna be? What problems are you gonna solve? What discoveries will you make?
Contribution going to be?
What's your contribution gonna be? What's your contribution gonna be? What's your contribution gonna be? What problems are you gonna solve? What discoveries will you make? What discoveries are you gonna solve? What discoveries are you gonna solve? What's contribution gonna be? What's your contribution?
So today I want to ask
all of you.
what's your contribution?
What's your contribution gonna be?
What problems
What problems are you gonna solve?
discoveries will you make?
What discoveries will you make?
So I expect all of you
What problems will you make?
going to solve. What discoveries will you make?
What discoveries will you make? What discoveries will you make?
So I expect
all of you
to get
to get
serious this year.
serious this year.
I expect you to put your best effort.
I expect you to put
Expect all of you to get serious this year. I expect you to put your best effort.
I expect you to put your best effort. I expect you to put your best effort. I expect you to put your best effort. Put your best effort. I expect you to put your best effort. I expect you to put your best effort
In everything you do.
in everything you do. I expect you to put your best effort. I expect you to put your best effort in everything you do. Expect great things from each other. So don't let us down. Don't let your family down or your country down. Most of all, don't let yourself down. Make us all proud. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless you. God bless America. 네, 오늘 연습 여기까지 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.